I imagine Gabby Mejia sitting in Wakanda Forever for the 4th time, smiling at new details she hadn't seen before, and the care with which she knows the team tended to the untold stories. She sits beside her mother, who was watching the film for the first time. As a tear falls down her mother's cheek, I imagine it doesn't make Gabby sad, but sparks in her a desire to reimagine worlds in her films and watch her films reimagine the world. I can't imagine Gabby being quiet at the table with faculty, staff, and students as they deliberate about candidates on a dean search committee. Gabby doesn't hold back her beliefs about inequity and how universities can strengthen themselves by honoring difference and community. I can't imagine a time in which she didn't have a profound self-awareness of her intersectional identity or a desire to see a world defined by justice and equity. I can't imagine she stays quiet. And I know that she won't. On the ampersand, we call this bringing together of the impossible the alchemy of anding. Together, we'll hear stories of humans who imagine and create by colliding their interests. Rather than thinking of and as a simple conjunction in that conjunction-junction kind of way, we will hear stories of people who see and as a verb, a way to speak the beautiful when you intentionally let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. As St. Mary Oliver asks, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Oh, I love this question. When I'm mothering, creating, and collaborating, it reminds me to replace a singular idea of what I think I should become with a full sensory verb about experiencing. I'm Erika Randall, and this is Gabby Mejia on the ampersand.
When I was younger, it was very much internalized racism for me, like growing in the U.S. I'm a dark-skinned Mexican plus-size girls. And like even in novelas, you see quite the opposite. You see like white-passing Latinos, Mexicans that are very skinny, blue eyes. And like my grandpa, he was like the one always like hyping me up. He's like, you need to be proud of who you are. He's very much like my dad. Mm-hmm. So just because my dad, like, he left when I was younger, like, he didn't have his status, he didn't have papers. When I was younger, I was like, why don't you have your papers? Just get papers. Because I just thought they were like,
get papers.
I was like, they're just regular slips of paper, you know, like, and when he left the U.S.
Oh, that image. Oh, Gabby, hold please for that film montage memory moment of you, little, just get papers.
Yeah.
Just get papers, like as if they were just pieces of paper. Wow. When did you unlearn that metaphor, that simplicity for yourself that was probably a huge gift to you as a kid, but also frustrating?
Yeah, I think for me, it wasn't until high school, to be honest, because like after my dad left, me and my sister, I have an older sister, we would visit him in Mexico. So we lived in Mexico most of the summer. So we would travel around, and then there was a point my mom couldn't afford it anymore, so we only had the phone calls. And then it was the end of middle school, start of high school that like 2014 was the last time I saw my dad in person. There was a lot of things going on in Colima at the time, and you know, it wasn't in high school until I realized that he wasn't documented. My grandpa, you know, he's going through his process right now.
Really now?
Barely now, yeah. So like my grandpa like took that place of my dad.
Yes.
So like going through that process is like right now is kind of scary, especially politically. My grandma is barely getting into politics, and I think it's kind of funny because yeah, my family is like, they like are decolonizing themselves like now. Like I started my process a long time ago, and I think that started their spark. Mm-hmm. Like my mom, she's like actively doing activism in her job and advocating for...
Feel safe enough.
To feel safe enough to do it. And, you know, like this process of generational healing is starting within my family, which is all great, you know, that spark. But like, yeah, so like my grandpa's like, my mom is trying to get our citizenship for Mexico now too. But she's also like trying to get my grandpa's citizenship, so he stays here.
So before we started at the microphone today, we were standing in the lobby at the studio, and you said to me, that's why I don't and too much or so much, which could make our listeners think, then why is she a guest on this podcast? But it's hilarious how much you and. Let's just start with that. You have a double major, you have a minor, your ethnic studies and film and leadership. And you just talked about 4 projects that you're working on, and you're talking about, saxophone. Okay, so first, listeners, just know that that's the only thing Gabby lies about is that she can't and so much. But I think it's about the so and the much that I want to understand about you. Right now, your focus is on social justice, film, memory, disruption, healing. I haven't said and yet intentionally, but that's a lot of anding. It's a lot of ending. Talk to me about how these worlds came together and how film became the vehicle for this representation and healing and transformation for you.
Yeah, so like we talked about when I was younger, that like internalized oppression was very much there and very much present in my life. And growing up, I wanted to be an actor, actually. So like I was like, you know what? If there's nobody out there looking like me, let me be the first.
This is why representation is so important to you.
Yes.
Okay, you came in from a body space.
I came in from a body space, and it wasn't until like high school that I actually started like reflecting and doing the work I wanted to do on myself first. Like my grandpa, he always sent me speeches on MLK and Malcolm X. He loves Malcolm X. Like he's very much, you need to hear both sides, like. And I was working at the time at Sweet Cow on Lowell, 32nd and Lowell in Denver. And every day before work, I would walk out of high school, and then work would be like 30 minutes later because I want to give myself some time to just let me do it. And I would sit in the Jimmy John's and I would just listen to the speeches my grandpa sent me. And one really I think changed like my idea. It was Malcolm X speech on roots. And pretty much he talks about you can't hate the roots of a tree and not hate the tree. And I was like, we in my school, social justice is very much part of the core. So I was reading a letter from a Birmingham jail my sophomore year of high school. I was reading works by Cesar Chavez, and just like doing all this stuff. Social politics, even at a young age, is very like a no-no. In my family, just with my grandpa, it was a yes, because my mom would be like, oh my God, just come on already. Like my sister would be like, really? Can't you speak about anything else?
Even as a youngin'?
Yeah, even as a youngin'.
That's great.
Yeah, so I would only have these conversations with my grandpa because at that time my mom was just worried about work, providing for me and my sister. And my sister was worried about, she was in track and cross country, so she was always tired at the end of the day. And that's when I got into acting, and I was looking for screenplays, Latino screenplays that I could monologue from. I was in workshops with Denver Center of Performing Arts Education for the summer. And it wasn't actually until 2018 when Black Panther came out that I wanted to do film because of how my mom reacted. So we got into a pre-screening a week before the film came out to the public. And I was like, because me and my mom, we love Marvel movies, even though that's a big no-no in film. That's really what, movies in my family connects us. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to be an actor. It's I'm going to bring her on the red carpets one day, just show them that we could do it. My grandpa, he loves movies. My grandma, it's a family event.
Yeah. It's a way to come together across generation and all of it.
Exactly. So when we went, I was like, oh, Mom, look, how much you want to bet they're going to start with the backstory of Wakanda first? And then when the film started, we hear 2 voices, it's they talk about the Great Mound. They talk about the history of Wakanda. And I could see my mom transform because she grew up in Cali because my grandparents were always there for her, so she moved around the country with family, and she mainly was raised in Cali during high school time, so it was very influential for her. And I just saw her in awe. It might have not been our representation, but it was representation, and it was such a big movement for her. And I was like, I want to do that for my mom. I want to move her like that, because my mom, she's very stoic sometimes. And so I just wanted to be oh, I could do that for my mom,
It's not even 10 a.m. and you got me tearing up, Gabby. To see something that's that big and that potent and say, I want to do that. I want to do that for her. And for her becomes for her and 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 for her, right?
Yeah.
And there is a power in film. It's so wild that something that's 2-dimensional is so multidimensional. Mm-hmm. to be able to do that in film and share it outward. I see in your other work, it seems like you're really anding a lot with light. So I wondered about you as a photographer or as a painter, the way that you're using light to also shape subjectivity in your short films feels really potent. And I wondered about that. And I wonder if you could tell me more how that becomes another instrument for you, especially in these worlds that are really dark. You're looking to light to do some work.
Yeah. So when I think a perfect example of this is It's Just Us, my film that I made. I think that's like one of my favorite films I've ever made because I was able to bring all my friends on this, but I wanted the film to be in black and white, and the only like color is the person of color, because it's a very much encompassing feeling of like tokenization within college and with any school. And we used like a red light on the students of color, and because sometimes it feels like that, like we have to be our own lights in like these very like predominant like white spaces, that like sometimes like we find light in our friends, we find light in like faculty sometimes, but like sometimes at the very like I think saddest moments we are our own light. And sometimes like we have to like pull ourselves up, like it sucks, but like that's something we do. And like I feel like later in film I want to change that light into something more like expressive and joyful, instead of like so like just on one person, you know. Like I think light within film, even like going back into the history of film, light has been used as a way of oppressing people. Like even like in photography, like brown skin tones are always washed out, or like when you use flash, like we look super dark, you know. Like the history of like how photography has been used to villainize brown people and people of color in general. I always think about that within my work too, like how am I softening this person, you know. Like I don't want to like harsh lights.
That's so strong in your work.
Yeah.
Like one of the most salient features for me. It's really powerful thinking about light as an oppressor, and then light as an intervention and a reclamation of that past oppression, and flattening that light has just, that there isn't just one story about light. And that is so, I'm watching films as I'm staring off into the high left diagonal. I'm watching films in my head and thinking about Gone with the Wind in the 30s, and the light on Vivian Leigh, impeccable.
Yeah.
But then the invisibility that happened with the way that the light wasn't balanced in the other scenes, even with incredible Black actors in that film who, you know, won due awards, when you see the contrast, like right now, I can just see it in my head from a light perspective. Yeah.
I feel like it's so funny because I was reading a paper recently by Bell Hooks on like, I can't remember, it's a gaze, like, so she pretty much talks about how people of color had to look beneath the film, like when there was bad representation, to find like some sort of like...
Yeah, like you have to peel back what's actually there to get connection.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about that, and like how throughout film, and like for me, and like I'm pretty sure a lot of other people of color, like they've had to peel back these like stereotypes, these like caricatures, and like, oh, this is only happening because it's a white writer, right? Or white executives, or they're watering down the person of color just as a relief character, you know. Like in a lot of teen movies, you have like that tokenism, you know, just thinking how like, and when we're in the spaces, we're able to like fully flesh out a character.
And how important that is to put that flesh on the body, thinking about what your grandfather said. Can you say that again, about going to see movies?
Oh, yeah. My grandpa, when we went to see movies, he would only want to see movies with Mexican leads, and they couldn't die. And like they had to be like a good rounded character. And for some reason, my grandpa, he loves like narco movies, because I don't know if he like maybe for him that's what he thinks like is like more accurate representation, even though at the expense of like a whole like, you know, group of people, you know, these cycles that continue whether we see it or don't see it, they're there. But yeah, he's very much, oh, is there Mexicans in the film? Then I don't want to see it.
Do they die? I don't want to see it. But that's, I mean, what a great gift of an imprint for you. I want there to be Mexicans who are central, who are in positions of power, and let's not have them die.
Yeah, because I remember not even a week ago I was talking to him. I was like, if I can get the money, I would want to do a film about a Latino during the Vietnam War, because historically, it doesn't even have to be Latino, but like just men of color, because they were put on the front lines and they were ones who are often dying the most compared to their white counterparts. And I was like, I think it would be like an interesting story, because we see all these movies about Vietnam and they're always on the white people. They're like always focused on white, or like they have like that, like a black friend who dies. Like the foremost example is Forrest Gump.
That's what I'm watching in my head right now. Well, that's what's also exciting about putting the camera into your hands and taking on the action of shooting and editing. There's in my world, I don't shoot or edit. I collaborate. I'm fortunate to get to collaborate with some incredible humans, but there is something. It's like really like setting the menu and like loving the salmon, but not grilling the salmon. And it was so powerful when I learned how to grill the salmon. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that, getting to hold the tools that are remaking a world or an industry? Do you get excited by that?
I get super excited, but for me, even though I've been in film school for 4 years, I do not know how to fully, I know how to work a camera, but I don't know how to operate it.
Okay, you're making me feel better, but you still feel like you're holding that camera.
I'm holding the camera. I'm like telling them where to shoot, where to look.
Okay, you just changed my life so that I don't have to do that, right? I can just keep like being bossy over here. I can just keep having strong vision.
Just be a director. Exactly.
Just be a director. That's my other t-shirt I'm getting after this. Just be a director. Gabby.
Yeah, I mean, in all ways, we're all directing our own lives, right? And I think a director is a very foretelling thing of how you are as a person. Because I've met a lot of students who they're like, oh, hi, they look nice. But when they're directing, they have no they're very blind to the hurt they're doing. As a director, you're like working on everything all at once, right? But you're setting a tone. You're setting for a tone for the audience specifically too. And within the cast, if the cast is not feeling great, if the cast is not happy to be there, it's gonna very much reflect within the film and how it turns out, and then it's gonna reflect how the audience sees it and
or feels it, doesn't it?
Or feels, yeah.
That's the good trouble, right?
Yeah, it could totally mess up the essence of a film. Yeah. And it's kind of shocking. For me, when I was filming my first narrative, I had my big set. I've only worked with 2 other people, and this was my first time working with 10 people on an actual set. So it was very new. I was very nervous, and I wanted to make sure everyone realized we're all equal. Because coming from my leadership minor, it's we learned about this web and how everyone is on the same level, and how every part is an important part.
Film set replicating life, life replicating film set for you?
For me, that's how it is. I don't want to make, yes, I might be directing and have the final say, but I'm also going to collaborate. It's a collaboration. I'm going to collaborate with you with sound. I'm going to collaborate with you with videography, cinematography, and I'm going to make sure you feel like you're doing the best so we can make the best film possible.
And how does that show up in life for you? Is that when you're at a regular gathering, do you feel like you want to conduct a space to be, or I want to know how does that flow over into being Gabby Mejia in the world?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm very much, I like looking first. I like knowing a vibe of a place. I trust my gut so much that at this point it has never led me wrong about certain people or certain groups. I'm very much know how to catch a vibe of a person before we actually have this meeting, but I still don't let that let me give them a chance first, and I'll talk to you. And I feel in a bigger room, it's kind of harder to do that. So sometimes I'll just be quiet, I just want to see a vibe of something before I actually put my whole, because for me it's all about my whole body, my whole heart into something. And if I know you're gonna hurt me or hurt my peace of mind, I'm okay to be acquaintances, but I'm not gonna be your friend. I need to know that we're on the same page, we have some sort of same values, or we just have this same respect, right? So for me, my first year of film school, like you could tell like formations were reforming, and I was like, that's something I don't want to be a part of because it's very toxic. Because like it's also something that reminded me of high school, and in high school, like I was very much an odd person out, because like I grew up listening like jazz. I liked Frankie Valli. I liked music from the 30s. Like I very much incorporated myself with all these musics, all this, I don't know, just like I had no one listening to Marvin Gaye with me in high school, minus my teachers, and they're like, "Oh, Gabby's a good one." Yeah,
Gabby's a good one. Did that? So when we started to talk about it, and then we got so beautifully distracted. This idea about like I can't over and.
I think for me, when I was under, like, at least my understanding of and is like and and not like that comma, like I wouldn't like do I'm a first generation student and a woman of color and low income, you know. I'm just like a, you know, it's just commas to me. So and,
what about anding?
Anding.
Verb.
Could
not
you use it in a sentence?
Yeah. Oh, I can, and I will. So not just yes to the like the more, the and comma, but anding the combination, the combining of different sparks.
Okay. So when I was thinking of ending, I was thinking and.
Yeah. So let's try not to think of it that way, because that makes me want to throw up, because that's so much, right? That's so much. That's a lot of weight. But what about connection? So dancer, filmmaker, poet. So I'm verbing together these things, and like Maya Deren did, and now we have a new reality.
So for me, that brings on the idea of intersectionality, coined by Miss Kimberly Crenshaw. You know, we love her work. I don't know. For me, that's very much like intersectionality. It's like these multiple identities influencing the way I work. So
totally obvious. It's just like what I do. Yeah. So you've already done that 6 times today.
I think.
So did you lie to me earlier? Or you didn't lie, because we didn't have a shared vocabulary. So now we have a shared vocabulary. Anding. You do it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I would still even be like conscious, like with those boundaries at least, because like we are giving parts of us to whether it's a cause or a project. And I think for me recently I learned is we have to be truly who we are, no matter what people think, and we have to keep our peace of mind. Because like with all this stuff I've been through at CU Boulder, it's so easy to keep like adding these weights on this ending, right? Like yes, I'm a social activist, and that work influences my film, and it like influences the work I want to do outside of film too, like making sure everything is equitable within at least in some way the film department. I don't have to worry about ethnic studies because they already have it on. They already know what they're doing. But I think for me, it's like making sure you are valued, or you're valuing yourself, and you're allowing yourself to grow and learn and know that it's okay to not like be the best right now, and that I'm only a student, at least for me, you know, and that like it doesn't matter what at the end of the day what my peers think, it matters what I think. And like it's just about peace of mind for me, because like there's so much, at least for like students of color or like anyone that's on the outside, right? It's so much work to like advocate for yourself, and so much to like educate. Like we're constant educators as people of colors, because we're always having to like stand up for ourselves or stand up for like, you know. So I think for me, it's just like making sure we have our own peace of mind, and like we're resetting, you know.
Yeah, your fifth chakra, radiant. Right? Your throat chakra, open, pretty powerful in my experience of you. And to be able to do that in both your human body and in your filmic body of work, it just keeps doubling and magnifying your beliefs, your truths, your mission, and your potency in those spaces, Gabby. It's great to see. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I speed round? Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I call this the quick and dirty. I thought of another one. It's like the Fast and the Furious, because that was a movie reference. But you don't have to be furious, because we've been really like, this has been like a lovely breakfast talk with you this morning. Okay, so has to be fast though.
Okay.
Do not get in your own way.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'm ready to get in my own way. Okay.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Okay, are you ready? So, okay, I'm going to give you a topic, and you're going to say the first word or phrase that has and in it, ideally, either and connector or the word and embedded. Okay? So if I say the best anding film, you'd say?
Damn. Okay. Wakanda Forever and Black Panther.
Yeah, both.
I don't know. They're just, they're amazing.
I can't wait to see the second one. I was thinking about my movies this morning. I was thinking of The Cook, the Thief, his wife, and her lover. Have you seen that film?
I have not.
Ooh, color.
No,
I mean,
wait. I have seen the end of it.
Dark Shades. But it's a dance film.
Oh, it is.
And not really, but in my brain, because of the way color maps out. But
yeah, the color.
Yeah, the color. Okay, yeah. And who gets the? Okay, we're gonna.
And the color.
Yeah, and the color. We're gonna share a class on that film. Okay, so best standing film. Got it. Okay. The songs that you need to hear back to back, blank and...
Oh, gosh. Okay. What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. And recently it's Lift Me Up by Rihanna. Those two songs. Oh, I love them.
So good. Okay, we're going to have a podcast playlist. Look for those songs back to back. Tim Grassley, can you get on that? Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
A title that you'd consider for your next film.
Ooh, I already have it. I'm working on it right now. It's Too Loud and Too Brown.
Too Loud and Too Brown. T-shirt.
Yeah. That one's dedicated for my mom.
Trying not to talk too soon. Okay. Best ending food combos.
Ooh, this is going to be so controversial. Pizza and pineapple.
Don't be mad. Don't be mad. Pizza and pineapple. No, we've been having a long debate in Old Main about pizza and pineapple on a thread.
I'm very much pro.
Pro. Okay. Your two favorite words.
Jedi and I want to say responsibility, and I do not know why.
Trust the gut.
Yeah.
Trust the gut.
Trust the gut.
Okay. On each episode, we ask our guests what they would tell an audience, like at a commencement ceremony going forward. I have my Irish toast, and may the road rise to meet you. So starting with and, what would you offer up to a next generation moving forward?
And I hope you know that it will be okay. Everything will work out. And no matter what, there will always be someone there to back you up.
That was undergraduate student Gabby Mejia, who studies film, ethnic studies, and leadership at the University of Colorado Boulder. The Ampersand is written and produced by me, Erika Randall, and Tim Grassley. If there are folks you'd like to hear from on the Ampersand, do please email us at asinfo@colorado.edu. Our theme music was composed and performed by Nelson Walker, a CU Boulder alum, brilliant cellist, composer, and a fantastic dancer. Episodes are recorded at Interplay Studios in Boulder, Colorado. I'm Erika Randall, and this is The Ampersand.